I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your work on behalf of the village. I loved it driving in late, not driving in late, but coming in late to the town one night, saw all these lights. Beautiful, well done, town centre. Committee, whoever's responsible for it, that was great. So I would like to pray for several things tonight and come before the Lord. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this meeting. We thank you for each person involved, giving their time. Thank you for the recent successes in the town centre, Lord, and the presentations that happened there. And we pray your blessing on all businesses, farming communities at this time of the year. Give you praise too for recent police successes, and also pray for that to continue. We're grateful for all those in the emergency services and hospitals at this time, in this weather. And we pray for those even tonight, preparing for surgery. We ask too for more police officers for the village, at least 2 more. We bring that need before you. Think of those other areas at this time, Lord. We think of a young guy, Josh Cook, in Ukraine, under a possible bombing at this time. Pray for his safety and those young people that he works with, and also for the situation in Israel. We pray for a successful end of conflict. This is a huge request, but we're coming before you, Lord, and you know exactly the situation. Pray too locally for the local churches' needs in the food pantry to be generously funded, and also to be engaged effectively across our community in the many areas of need, the lives of village families, and business life. We look for and expect and praise you for the opportunity to have a great Yuletide season with everything that's planned for the village. We thank you for that. We thank you for the interest. And we pray for many people to be strengthened and encouraged by that. Finally, for wisdom, insight to be given in this evening's meeting on every point of business, for the benefit of the people of Blissfield, for the peace and joy in every family, every home, this coming Christmas and holiday season. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayers. Amen. Wish you all a wonderful Christmas season, exciting time in the town, and over into the new year as well. Have a safe, wonderful Christmas in your homes, your community, in your traveling. Take care. God bless you all. I also brought some extra November pathways for anyone that wants to pick up with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Pastor Doyle.
Thank you.
For your information, Mike was a huge part of the design committee and full rep. You can thank Mike. Okay. Roll call.
James I.
Present.
Mike Gunner.
Present.
Glenn Gustav. Here. Bill Ritzmaker.
Here.
Jerry Hayes.
Yeah, they're here.
Eric Rogers. Here. Timothy Waters.
Present. It's been a long day, sorry. I'll take a motion to approve last meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our November 13th, 2023 meeting as presented.
Support.
Moved and supported. I went on that. Go ahead, Lisa.
Bill.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Gwen. Yes. Jerry.
Yes.
James.
Yes, I didn't ask if there's any input on those, but I will on this next one, the approval of the minutes of the zoning board of appeals from November 13th. Is there any questions or comments? No, okay, go ahead, Lisa.
I need a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of November 13th, 2023 as presented. Zoning Board of Appeals.
Board. Thank you, gentlemen. Go ahead now, Lisa.
Mike.
Yes.
Gwen. Yes. Eric.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
James.
Yes, thank you. Moving on to presentations and communication.
I don't really have anything unless you guys have questions.
No,
Sorry, apparently it's been a long day for all of us. There's the calendars that we put on there annually, ballot information that was requested previously by council. As far as getting an item on the regular or the special ballot, so I included that, and then there's just some information regarding the social district. And I would refer to Laura to address any of those questions if you have them, but otherwise it's really just information for you guys and the public.
does anybody have any questions for Laura? Any other questions about the information presented?
That's my only question would be, essentially to Tim, did that answer the questions and concerns that you had raised in the previous meeting?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Laura.
I'll take a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support?
You. Any input on the agenda? Lisa, if you will.
Tim,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
James.
Yes. Thank you. I will open it up for public comment at this time. Items on the agenda, items not on the.
James, may I share something?
Yes.
I just wanted to take a moment. I'm not sure if you guys have had a chance to see the press release yet, but Coach Light Estates donated $1,000 to light up the park to, and the committee's using that money to light up the steel truss bridge. Those lights are supposed to be here this coming Thursday and they'll be installed this weekend, but I just really wanted to thank Coach Light for their generosity in supporting that program.
Wow.
Nice. It's great.
Wow. That is exceptional. Who, so what committee?
It's part of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And Light Up the Park is the one of their fundraisers that they do. So any profits are used to help support the programs throughout the year.
Fantastic.
And I gotta tell you, Emily Mullins is the one that is quite instrumental in the Light Up the Park program, as well as Danielle and her.
Really the whole
group of
wellness
folks.
family.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
Laura Nichols, 206 Franklin, speaking as a citizen and a DDA manager. I'd like to thank Mike Gunner for his leadership and read it into the record. He pretty much single-handedly cut all of those pull wraps you see. I think there were over 80. I think he has blisters on his hands, and we did help minimal, but Mike did most of the work and the village does look amazing, so thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to the Mullins family and thank you to Mike. Any other public comment? No, thank you for that update, Danielle. I'll move on to unfinished business then. So item number one, we have a fee waiver request. Did we come to a resolution on that? We're gonna go through the next bill reading.
Yes, so that information is included for you guys. The new bill, the new read came out. It did go back down to 2,800 gallons is the current read, which is a little bit more on track with what they normally have. It's the 12-month average was 1,400 gallons, but I'm not sure again why. I know that Mr. Emerson is here. I have no idea why DPW said they were there several times, as we stated last time. The meter was good, so they're requesting any consideration at this time. I'm not sure where the motion went. I did reach out to Mr. Emerson last week, just letting him know that this would be on the agenda. That ultimately it's up to you guys. And we did briefly talk about, or I should say, I didn't speak with him, I spoke with his wife. But I did mention Community Action Agency. you reach out to them or were you, okay.
No, I haven't.
The Community Action Agency does have some federal funding to help people with their utility bills, and that might be a consideration, but that's really a separate program from what we have, but again, if you guys have questions for myself or Chuck, we can answer.
After the Department of Public Works did their initial check of the meter and other things, did they go back and check after the second read of 2,800?
They were there a couple times, so we've not rechecked like since the 2,800 read. That was, they pulled that read on the 15th of November.
It was last Wednesday, correct?
The Wednesday prior, they had pulled that. Yeah, and they knew that was on our radar, so when Jason brought the books in, he had made sure to get that read to us right away.
My only question is if we're at approximately 1,400 gallons over the past, 12 months, again, 2,800 even seems double of what normally would be, especially during the summer, you'd think. Generally, when waters ran higher, it would be higher, so it's technically double from what average was a year prior. That's
right, and that's why I guess,
Lots
to
of
be
feed.
clear though, the average, because I pulled it for the whole 12 months, so there was 1 month that I think there was 900 gallons. Most of the time they're around 2,400, so it's really not, I know it appears to be double, but it's not. And you might be able to address why it fluctuates.
Well,
So I'm not,
she didn't have a washer for a while,
okay,
so we
so she
got
has
her
a
washer.
washer.
So now the washer's going a couple times a week, and
So that's, I think, why
You know,
those
that
couple
has
little
something to
ones
do.
was throwing off the
But-
whole average.
I think I talked to you all before, a couple weeks ago. Did all the leak tests on the stools. Checked everything outside. Not including nothing wet. So, you know, I don't know what else to say about it.
I don't mean to sound insensitive, but from 81,700 gallons, and there's no explanation why. And then we go down to 2,800 gallons, and again, there's no explanation why. So the water, if it was leaking before or going someplace, it would still continue to go someplace, I would think. So
Yeah,
I'm curious for an explanation, I suppose, between the difference. Was there a toilet running for a month? Someone leave a faucet on?
no outside. We haven't never even turned the outside faucets on. I checked everything. I checked all the screws. The guy said, go do it, put your food coloring in, everything, no leaks. You know, I'm at a loss.
Yeah.
Cause you know, when they called me up right away and told me. The DPW guys, I said. How could that possibly be? And they came in and looked. And looked at the meter downstairs and the one outside, and I don't think it was 15 gallons off or something like that. I think was the only difference in it. We walked outside, walked to where the water line comes right in the front of the house. Nothing wet. I do.
Yeah.
When there's nothing that like I said, I went through the whole shebang and I can't find nothing.
Yeah, 81,000 gallons. Absolutely not reasonable, so even more reason to get the water meters swapped out. So what have we done in the past?
Usually waive the sewer portion of it. It's usually what we've done, isn't it?
Yeah, so you guys have in the past waived the sewer only portion above the normal or the 12-month average usage, which is why I kind of provided that up ahead. And then in August, August of this year, we amended the ordinance because you guys had voiced some frustrations over hearing waivers. And several options were presented at that time, and you guys had selected the repair portion and the one-time like penalty late fee for circumstances outside of their area. This specific request doesn't fall within either of those because no repair has been made that would prompt any waiver on our portion, which matches what you guys have done in the past where the sewer only is waived. You guys have, this is the first request since that ordinance amendment.
I know that you guys have. I know of 2 instances that there was quite a bit more than this that was waived.
Therein is the problem.
Huh?
I said, and therein is the problem.
You know, I'm sorry, I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander, you know, that's just my personal opinion. Now, I know you guys are gonna do what you think is right. But I believe that I'm right, and I believe with her being on a fixed income. You know, I don't think that's right either. When everything's been checked and the guys come and checked it, and I don't know what to say.
No, I'm with you. I'm convinced there's a faulty meter. Or something. 81,000 gallons is just,
I mean, you'd have
that's the
to,
size of 4 Olympic swimming pools.
2,700 gallons a day.
Yeah, that's just completely unreasonable. So we need to do some rough justice here. I'm just trying to figure out what it is we've done in the past, sort of make everyone whole. Yeah, I would propose we take the highest. What is the highest read over the last 12 months? 2,800, is that the highest read?
I believe the highest read was 2,900.
Well, either way, we take that for the month and reduce the rest. That'll be something to be in favor of.
And when the next person comes next
Well,
month,
and that's why we've allocated money to get these new meters.
I understand.
I mean, this is a meter issue. This is not a plumbing issue. If there was 2,700 gallons a day, we'd have a problem on 223.
Yeah.
There'd be a sinkhole.
Daniel, did our policy discuss anything about a case-by-case review?
No.
Okay.
and it's not that I don't want to come across as insensitive, and I know you know this is part of this is a part of the job that I don't particularly care for, but it is part of what we are here to do.
Yeah.
And we had many of the requests, and we honored those requests, and we all said the same thing. Enough is enough. We have to do it in an ordinance. Now we have the ordinance. Now we don't like this situation. I understand it as well. I just said, why do we have ordinances?
Well, I think this falls outside the ordinance. It's not that we don't like it. It's that.
I don't, how does this fall outside the ordinance? I don't see that. Do you, Danielle?
Well, it doesn't fit within the, so according to the ordinance, it does not qualify for a waiver.
That's what
Because it doesn't fit the criteria of the ordinance.
So because it doesn't.
That's why it's coming before you guys, because when Chuck came to me, under the way the ordinance is written, I don't, or staff have any authority under that ordinance. So it's coming before you guys, because again, in the past, that's, if we don't have the authority, it's come to you.
Yeah.
We got reimbursement for damage, meter failure, inaccurate meters, hydrant use, lawn spray. Those are the things that are covered under the new ordinance. Nothing about 81,700 gallons. That's a ghost.
So
We don't know
No,
where.
I hear, I hear what you're saying.
yeah, like had he come in and said, you know, I found that there's a water-based sump pump and it was running and the water never went into the sewer. We've changed that sump pump. Then I would look at it, I would pull the average and I would credit the sewer portion. And that wouldn't even come before you guys under the current ordinance, unless it's over a certain amount, which this would not have been. But because there was no repair tied to it, the meter was accurate according to DPW. And meters, if they're bad, they don't fix themselves. They don't just all of a sudden, like, if it's a bad meter, it continues to be bad. There's no, like, this month it works, this month it doesn't. So I'm not saying I have no idea what it is, 'cause I don't live there, I was not there, I have no idea, but. The water did go through the meter, where it went, I have no idea.
The 81,000 gallon read would have been for the period of August 15th roughly till September 15th, correct? Which would have gone up on the October bill. If I'm doing my math right.
Yeah,
days was it for?
should have pulled it, I
It
don't
was
know,
original, it was the due date on it was October,
yes, so.
excuse me. No, I'm wrong on that.
It was
too.
November,
No. This is November 27th, would that have been right, was it
yeah,
October?
that's, yeah, no, it's right, November. Today, because the
Yeah.
holiday, so yes, that would have been the. September to October read, not August, so September, it would be September 16th to October 15th. So, and that, so they notified, I don't recall the
They
exact
called
date,
me.
when they read the meters in October. Is when they notified you that it, because we try to reach out as soon as we see something weird, and DPW is really good about this, if they go and they read it and it's really high. They'll double check it, and then we try to contact the owner or contact person, in this case, we contacted him because of his. Him helping his mother and stuff, but. So, and we're always going, and this is where. The new meters would help too, because we're always now looking back. So that water is already used, like, we're not getting notified, the leak, there could have been a leak, or somebody could have left a faucet in the bathroom on. In September 17th and then turned it off, and I'm not saying this happened.
No, I know.
Anyway, just as an example. And then on September 20th, it was finally turned off, well, then we don't know that there was high usage until. October 15th. And again, I'm making up a scenario, I wanna be very clear. I don't know why
I wasn't, and that wasn't the question. Question. I'm there every day. I'm to her house every day. My sister is there morning and noon, Monday through Wednesday. And I'm there the rest of the time. So.
So the 12-month average is 1,400 gallons. This past month was 2,800.
Correct.
So in the 81,700 gallons, that average of 1,400 is in there, correct? I'm just trying to look at a dollar figure, or dollar figure for the.
When I took the average, I did a 12-month look back prior to the 81. Otherwise, the 81,700 would increase that average beyond what they normally use.
So if we waived the 1,191.43, that would not be including the normal monthly
That,
amount.
no, that does include.
It does include.
Yes.
So if we waived it, we would need to take that average.
Right, so
monthly out of
I
there.
said if based on the average, if you took the average of 1,400 gallons, their bill would be 125.05. I don't know if that helps to.
You would deduct that from the 191.43.
Yeah, if
That
that's,
was 66. Today.
That's why I think I suggested. Even at 1,050, I would even, the other at 141 or whatever it is, 61. I mean, that's even a little more than what the average is, but that's probably pretty close now. That was just my thought.
You said one.
1,050. I said if I paid if it was the 141. Or even if it was a little bit more.
So if they paid a bill of $141, the credit or the refund, whatever you want to call it, reversal would be $1,050.43.
Different points coming from, because that does, you know, it does fall back on the rest of the, $1,200 or 1,200 or so. Needed residents and businesses, and I get that, again, it's kind of part of the course of what we've done in the past. You know, that much water, I would think, you know, obviously it's not in the basement, it's not on the side, I'm thinking probably like a leaky toilet or something, which. Again, you know, I was just looking at something to, you know, like 1,000 gallons a day.
Yeah.
So, but if you guys are there, I take your word for it, again, I trust safety done within to be there as well, so. It's unfortunate, I guess.
I'll make a motion based on what we've been talking about of waiving $1,050.43 for a resident, 318 East Adrian Street.
I'll support that.
Moved and supported. Any other discussion or comments?
My next question is, do we need to address this in the ordinance for the future?
But always up to you guys with ordinance amendments. If you're wanting me to do something with the ordinance, I just need some direction what it is that you're looking for.
What's in your head there? What do you think that's part of the amendment?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm not thinking anything yet, okay? But thinking. We step that back. I'm thinking maybe we need to have a discussion. I mean, this is a gray area that slipped through when we redid the ordinance. Maybe we need to have that discussion at some point. Because our whole reasoning for rewriting the ordinance was to get away from this stuff, and no offense to.
No, I'm not, I'm taking.
But
What gray area would this fall into?
well, it's not classified under the ordinance.
So just my 2 cents, as always, it's up to council, whatever you guys want to do, I will work on that. I guess I would recommend or suggest that you consider not making any amendments until the new meters are installed. Because that could change, it will change our process and things moving forward, so then we're kind of.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, just my 2 cents, I guess.
Can you remind us when that's gonna happen, or we're gonna?
I actually have Viola has sent a draft agreement over. I mean, it could come to you guys as soon as next month.
I'm in agreement with that. I think it's gonna clear a lot of this up, so.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Emerson, have you monitored, looked at the meter,
I did
just to kind of
a
get?
couple weeks ago. I did a couple weeks ago, but I haven't since. And have they already read it?
Yeah, they did on the 15th,
Yeah.
yes.
So I haven't looked at it this week. I had looked at it a couple weeks before, and I think it was
There would have been about
12 or 1,500 gallons. Because I went off of what it was before, and I read it from there. And I checked the outside, and I checked it with the basement. And like I think I told you, it was either like 12 or 15 gallons. And it may not have been, that's just what's coming to my head.
from outside.
From the
meters?
outside bins.
Okay.
So. And those guys said. That's not bad.
All right, if there's no further discussion. You wanna call? Oh, go ahead.
Mike,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to say, can you read me what we're voting on, the verbiage, please?
move to waive $1,050.43 for the resident at 318 East Adrian Street.
And then Danielle, you were suggesting what? With the new,
With the ordinance.
yes, with the new, with the ordinance, you're saying that not to look at the ordinance until we get the new.
I would
Right.
leave
That's what
the
I-
ordinance until the
Oh.
new meters
Right.
are, and again, that's up to you guys, but.
No, I understand. My vote is no.
Lisa, did you have 1,050?
Yeah.
Even?
And 43 cents.
43 cents.
We're also able to 43 cents.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll pay the 42.
Well, Martin wants
It's
her.
about- Yeah, I now get applicant, yeah.
Just wanna make sure we have a motion.
Put it,
right?
no, just put it on.
Thank you, sorry. Want a certified check, Chad.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Lisa.
Right, Eric,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes, thank you for that discussion. Thank you, Chuck, for coming. back
Um,
in.
I would like to thank you all for that. It's greatly appreciated. And, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, I got you 43 cents.
Get out of here. It's sorted out.
Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate
Moving on to new business then.
it.
Appoint village council president pro tem.
I'll make a motion to appoint Glenn Buser, president pro tem for 2024 year.
I apologize. What was the nomination?
It was Gwen, so it currently is Mike, and it is Mike because there's a tradition, the longest serving individual on council is president pro tem. It was prior to that was Gwen because Mike wasn't here and we didn't know that information, so just putting that out there for any discussion. I have no problems with Gwen. Mike's done a. Have you filled in for me? Have I? You have? Alright. I don't even remember not being present, so there you go.
You're in Florida or something.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But is it any discussion on that?
I just want to clarify, so you guys can have multiple nominations and then vote for those. Or you can have a nomination vote, if it passes, great, if it fails, have another nomination. I just want to make sure you guys understand what your options are.
Nominate more than one person for the initial.
Yeah, I just, again, I want to make sure you discussion, I guess.
I'll nominate Mike Gunter.
I'll support that. So how do we vote then? Do we vote on the first nomination first?
So that's, yeah, you would vote on each one of them if you have multiple nominations, and again, you could have 3, 4, whatever, I mean.
If the first one passes, then do we?
You would still. Yeah,
Wouldn't we, if we have multiple nominations for the same position, wouldn't we take a vote by whether we choose Mike or Glenn?
yes,
And then
That
if
would be
that,
the way to do it.
because you can't vote for both of them, like,
Right.
you can't say yes to Glenn and Mike. So one of them has to be selected.
we do that by slip of paper or
It, yes, it has to be,
verbal.
Verbal. So would Lisa call our name and then we say who we want? Is that how we do it?
Yes. Any other nominations before we vote on this?
who seconded the nomination for Mike?
Jerry.
Jerry, Tim made the motion, Jerry seconded.
Thank you.
Eric and Bill were the first nomination.
And Ryan and Mike can vote. I'll make sure you guys know that.
All right, any other nominations, any other discussion? All right, Lisa, call the vote.
You want me to add some specifically when I call her?
Yeah, I would just, when she calls your name, just state the name of the person you're voting for.
Bill,
One,
Jerry,
But
Eric,
When,
Tim,
Mike,
Gwen,
What?
Mike,
Mike.
James,
James.
you're the tiebreaker.
Gonna go with Gwen on this. Mike, you've done a great job and I've had this, for a while. Really here for, what is this, a year?
Yes.
A year.
So it's voted on as close to November 20th. Or like as soon after every year.
So we won't vote on this again before the next election. All right. Well, that was fun. Something new.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Going on, moving on, through 1 month water shut off suspension. I think we do this, we've been doing this annually since you've been here, Danielle. I don't
Yes,
know if we
this
did
would be the
prior.
third year, if it's approved again. And it's just really the timing of the holidays, it makes it challenging. We don't like to turn people off and then go right into a weekend. Where people can't get their water restored, and it's worked for the last few years. People still, they still accrue the penalties and the late fees, they still have to get it paid in January to avoid shut off. Or to continue further going delinquent. So we're just asking to do that again.
I'll make a motion then to move, to suspend water shutoffs, oh my gosh, for 1 month in December 2023.
Support. Moved and support. Any questions or comments about this one? Lisa?
Eric,
yes,
Gwen,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James,
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 3, approve a training plan. I know this is something we'll look forward to, but these are audit requirements and
RRC requirements.
RRC requirements.
Yes.
Sorry.
And this training plan has been presented to all of the boards. It, like any document or plan that we have, it can always be amended and revised moving forward, but we're just looking to formally adopt this. It will, actually, MEDC has already accepted it. It does meet all of the requirements of the RRC certification process.
Not that it's a big deal. I didn't see anything for the Parks and Rec. Is there anything in particular that we should be looking for, or?
Yeah, Parks and Rec is, because you guys are an
We're an
advisory
advisory
board,
board,
there
yes.
are training opportunities, they're just not as formalized as planning the.
It might be something, Amelia, it'd behoove us to we attend something if it's out there.
And the trainings too, we talked about this at the other boards, it doesn't always have to consist of a formal training or class that you go to. It can be something that we do internally. It can be reading an article, it can be research is considered training under this training plan. So there's a variety of different ways that we can accomplish it. It's not just going to a class.
Which is what this whole circle thing is going on,
Yes.
with the explanation. Okay. But if there's something, Amelia, I mean, that you're like, oh, I'd like to visit or go to or see how this works in this community, I would think that we would be on board with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Move council to approve the training plan as presented.
I'll support that.
Moved and supported. Any additional comments or questions? Go ahead, Lisa.
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes, thank you. Action item number 4, approve the development guide.
So this, a couple things with this, another RRC requirement, this will be a tool for us moving forward anytime that there's somebody interested in doing various development, right? Whether it's just a permit, rezone, anything, we'll be able to use this document as a resource to give them information. I do want to thank Heather Marks actually started this when she was still employed with the village. And we were working on RRC, and then Asia has taken the reins and really brought it across the finish line and finished, kind of beefed it up, got all the links and tons of work. So thank you to both of them for all of the work. This plan has been recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. It's been shared with the DDA board as well, but again, if there's changes, updates, we'll make them moving forward. We're hoping to get it adopted, and this does meet all the requirements, and we need to approve this one as well.
Make motion, nobody has any questions or comments.
Move to approve the development guide as presented.
Support. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Glad you started it, but Asia, thank you for, this is, a big deal, something that's been a long time coming, so thank you for, wrapping that up.
thank you for thanking me.
Well, you're welcome, thank you for thanking Mike, you're welcome. I think that didn't even make sense, but you know what I mean.
All right, Lisa, if you will.
Mike,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James,
Yes. Thank you. Action item number 5, approve the potential purchase of a used street sweeper.
I know this is a little bit unique request, and I want to just be upfront with you guys. I don't know how you guys have handled this in the past, and I'm not really sure if this is the best way, but we're gonna try it and see how it goes. So we budgeted $150,000 for a street sweeper in this current fiscal year. Brent is actually working on looking into some potential lease options. We're looking at pricing for new. But in the meantime, while we do that, we're always looking for used affordable pieces of equipment. And what we have found about a year ago, this happened to us, a used sweeper came up, but they'll call and notify us like, hey, we have this available. You come look at it and you have to be ready to purchase it. Well, our process isn't conducive to that always. So we don't have a used sweeper in mind, but I guess I'm asking you guys, if something were to come up that makes sense, is a good fit for us and within or under that budget, would you guys entertain approving that? And what do you guys expect or want from us if that happens? Like, would it be maybe, I guess my thought was that at a count here, you guys would say that you approve spending up to the 150 for a use with the expectation that I call each of you, that I email you, whatever it is you need to be comfortable with that approval. Again, I'm kind of open to ideas here, but I want to make sure that you guys know what we're doing moving forward. Obviously, if we did purchase something, I would notify you, but.
The only thing that I would ask is that this ends as of the end of the budget year.
Yeah, you guys can put
So like it's gotta have some sort of stop measure.
yeah, I
And
agree with that.
I would think the fiscal year is a good stop. If we don't spend the money, that means we can reallocate it next year. If it is spent, fine.
And potentially, I may be coming back to you guys with a whole different request. If because we may not find a used one, and maybe we find that a new one is within our budget and we bid that out and I'd ask you to award that. Or we're looking at these leasing options, which is becoming really popular. They have municipal lease programs. Maybe that's something where we say, okay, we're gonna make X amount of payments for the next 5 years or whatever. That information would still come back to you guys. I just am bringing this because in the meantime, if we do find something that, you know, maybe we find something and it's 90,000 and it's under budget and it meets our needs and would be good, we don't wanna miss that opportunity either.
And who
That's why I said it's kind of unique.
who makes the decision on the purchase then, Danielle?
So it would be Brent and I would lean on Brent, because Brent knows what DPW needs are. I don't run the street sweeper, so I'm going to rely on him, but he would come to me and say, okay, this is what we have, and provide the information, and between the two of us, we would weed out any concerns or issues before purchasing it. And again, if we were to find that, you guys tell me, I'm willing to do, if you're good with this, I'm willing to make calls to each of you, I can send an email, whatever process you guys would like to see, I'm good with.
Personally, if we tell you it's okay, you don't need to call me and tell me you did it. That's just my opinion. And secondly, I have no idea about a street sweeper. So somebody who knows mechanics and that kind of stuff, maybe Brent is the guy to finally approve or say, yep, this is a good one, or no, we should continue looking. You know what I mean? I just don't know what. I have a hard time with my car.
Yeah.
The 150,000 is what's budgeted, and and this has happened in the past, Danielle, you're stating?
Well, I don't know how you guys, we have purchased used equipment in the past.
Something coming up and it going.
Oh, yes.
That has happened.
Yes, it has happened. So prior to us even having the budget, which really, at that point, we're like, we don't even have this in the budget, so
But
that's
it's in the budget, so now we can.
correct.
I'm with Bill there, that if you guys, I don't need to be emailed or phone call.
Because you're gonna bring it to the meeting. Eventually, if you pull the trigger, so to speak.
Is their current sweeper still working?
Yes.
Is it?
Don't jinx us, Jerry.
No, I'm just asking.
No.
I'm out of town all
Yes,
day,
it
so I
is.
have to see it. Down on the street.
You're just not up that early.
Not usually.
I get the logic behind it, but I'm not in favor of it. Again, we set a policy to where Danielle can expend up to $5,000 without council approval, much like the DDA and the other department heads. It's a checks and balance system. We're not a private entity. Again, it's about transparency in government operations. It's not the same as a private business. Yeah, I trust Brent to make the decision on what kind of equipment he needs, but I think it should go through the formal process. I'd be okay with potentially a refundable deposit, something like that, if they would hold it. But to just say, we're gonna have at it, buy what you want and come back to us later on, I don't think that sets good precedent, and I don't think it's the proper way to go through the process. I certainly don't wanna miss out on a potential lease sale, but again, it's just one of the unfortunates, the bureaucracy and the red tape behind government operations.
I don't, to Bill's point, what do we add to the purchase of a sweeper? I certainly don't add anything. You could show me 6 different sweepers, I couldn't tell you the difference between them, other than the color. So again, it's gonna be up to Brent and Danielle, and Brent definitely has the knowledge of heavy equipment, and I think this is classified as heavy equipment. So I think this is a unique situation that we budgeted for. We're giving power, authority, or whatever you want to call it, to in a one-time use. I don't think it really circumvents it if we budgeted it and then we've approved it tonight. So I get what you're saying, Mike, but I don't know what any one of us adds to the decision making.
And I guess I'll add, because I do see both sides of it. I do think we have a process. So a couple things, other potential solutions or options, because I don't want to miss out either. And that's why this is kind of coming to you guys. Under current policy right now, if I have the approval up to $5,000, I also, with approval from the president, can go above that in emergency situations. I don't know that, to me, that it's considered an emergency. To me, emergency is like, this is a broken water line emergency or something major. So that's why I didn't really think to go that route, but maybe that's a possible solution in this scenario. The other option is a special meeting. We're still limited if somebody, we can do that much faster, assuming you guys are available. We have to have 18 hours notice. We still run the risk of losing out if somebody else is faster.
The emergency is the time frame that you gotta work within.
Yeah,
Right.
so I don't know.
My assumption is that they would hold it for, let's just say it's, the 90,000, and you have the authority for 5,000. And you say to hold it for 5,000 with the reimbursement of that 5,000 if
You can't hold deposits
not
in the
like
state of
that.
Michigan.
Okay.
And if, let's say we found a used piece of equipment and we were interested and we said, we're gonna call a special meeting with our council, most places will say, that's great, let us know. But if they get another offer that's guaranteed, they're going to go with that.
Yeah.
Which I understand, you can't blame them, I mean, that's just business, because if you guys say no, and now this is sitting there not sold.
As someone who works in sales, I would do the same thing.
What would you recommend on this, Jerry, with your job and this expertise of?
Person at the table with the money gets it.
You
I mean,
think
that's the way of the world. That's the nature.
it's, what are your thoughts as far as going through the process of waiting?
I get what Mike's saying, but we've all already allocated the $150,000. If we make the motion not to exceed that, whatever we had budgeted. Is my yay or nay gonna trump what Brent has to say about I don't know anything about street sweepers. And if we get the approval ahead of time, it's a lot of money, I know. But I would be all right with it.
I just think of an auction type scenario. You have the ability to bid at a discount, buy equipment at a discount. These things sometimes are a matter of days, things go up for auction and auctions close. We don't have time for special meetings. Not that we're gonna get a super good discount. I mean, I think market values are up across the board, but we budgeted it. We're making the approval now instead of in the future. It's for the purchase of the street sweeper only, not to exceed 150,000 with a time limitation.
It does include both Danielle and Brent. It's not a one person decision.
That's right.
Have we priced a new one? Do we have even a ballpark figure where it would cost?
We have looked at a couple new ones, it depends on the model, so they range anywhere from about 150 to 350. We are not looking for the Cadillac of street sweepers, but we would like something that will function and work for us. And again, I said the max of 150 because that's what's within the budget. If we purchase used, we're hoping that it would be less than that.
And somebody's still checking on a lease option. We already have.
Correct, so this conversation could be completely moot point, because I could come back to you guys. We're still working on it, and we didn't wanna miss an opportunity, so I'm just bringing this as, again, I don't really know how we've done it in the past. I'm just trying to find some solutions to make sure that we don't miss out on something if it doesn't become available.
If there were a motion, as I look at the previous council action, council approved the budget amount of 150,000 in the current fiscal year. That takes care of the current fiscal year then that James is requesting, is that correct?
I would include it in your motion, Gwen, if you so choose, just to be clear. I mean, we would follow that, but I just think it kind of makes it easier.
There are many used ones on the market. Just did a quick search and there are some out there in our $150,000 range. But my concern is that if you find something and you need to get onto it quick in order to assure that you're gonna get it, that doesn't leave you a lot of time to go out and inspect it. It may be as far away as these are, most of these that I've just found are in Illinois area.
We would not purchase anything without being able to inspect it and drive it ever.
I mean, in the hours, some of these have relative, 25,000 miles on a 2018 street sweeper. May not sound like a lot, but we only have 2 square miles to worry about. These are probably from the city of who knows where out in Illinois. Could be Chicago, could be Champaign, could be any of those, towns. Where they drive hundreds of miles because there are street sweepers used every day. 2,500 hours on the engine, that's probably comparable to what the mileage is, but it's also $180,000. There's some that are less than that. Come back to you get what you pay for. Sometimes.
Yeah, we don't need one of the huge, because we are smaller and.
Right.
Because they do range in sizes significantly.
Are they looking at a truck style or are they looking at more?
Similar to what we have now, it would be enclosed.
Yeah.
Truck styles seem to be a little more expensive than the other ones.
Well, someone want to present a motion?
When's working on it?
There's one here that looks like that. It's the back of the top.
They do.
First one's similar.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, they said one of these.
Okay, like that's here.
Like that, yeah. That's what we got.
Baby gray. I must be thinking of the old one. The really old one.
I know it's on this, you need to do it,
Well, there we go.
no. It's in the back of the house.
It's actually right across facing the street.
They don't know my line.
I've got a little bit of a one going, but see what you guys think, it needs to be tweaked. Something about, approving the budgeted amount not to exceed $150,000 in the 2024 fiscal year. With approval from the administrator and Danielle and Brent, I don't know what verbiage we want to use it, for final improvement, but I'd like to specifically inspection and driven. Because I think that would be critical for inspection. That was something that you were just stating. I don't know how
Is
that works.
that something we already have in policy?
I'm not sure, I mean, it would be my policy, I don't know if that's a written
It was
policy.
yours, but I would just like to have, I
It could
think,
be a negotiation, I think, between the purchaser and the seller.
it's just something that Eric had just mentioned. Part about actually seeing it.
So just bullet point that for us.
Bullet pointing it would be not to exceed 150,000 in the 2024 fiscal year or fiscal year 2024. Upon approval of Danielle and Brent. Inspection and driven. Danielle, is that doable with the inspection and driven? I mean, talking
Yeah,
about
so. Move to approve the purchase of a used street sweeper not to exceed the budgeted amount of $150,000 prior to fiscal year end.
fiscal year end.
Upon approval by Danielle and Brendan, only after inspection and test drive.
Yes,
That's what she said.
that's what I'm looking for. Is that what you guys are thinking?
Works for me.
I didn't miss anything.
No, you're good. That's everything that I wanted to hear.
You want to repeat that, Gwen?
I would defer to our administrator, please. Thank you for the offer.
You need to repeat it.
Please.
Okay.
It's your motion.
Move to approve the purchase of a used street sweeper not to exceed the budgeted amount of $150,000 prior to fiscal year end upon approval by Danielle and Brendan only after inspection and test drive.
I would like to have the date of the fiscal year.
This year, 24.
23-24 fiscal year.
Fiscal year and September 30th, 2024.
Yeah,
Okay.
I second.
Yes, thank you. Okay, any other discussion?
I'd also like to check into farming it out or contracting it out. I
You
think,
mentioned it before.
talking with Brent before, I think that thing runs, it's like $100 an hour just to operate it, and then you got paying hours and everything else. And DPW, people never know what they're doing, but they're always busy and their work never ends. So I don't know if that's another solution, maybe cheaper. By the time you're factoring in our benefits, the maintenance, the equipment that we will rent back to the motor vehicle fund, I think it would potentially be beneficial even to contract it out. But I'm certainly not for just saying it's under 50 spending.
I think that's what we're saying. Okay, we're saying here. I think we're saying if the opportunity presents itself, you have my approval.
Yeah, due diligence is going to be performed.
I agree, Bill.
All right, Lisa?
Tim,
No.
Gary,
Yes.
Mike,
No.
Jerry,
yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
James,
Yes. Thank you. Last item. Award the information technology request for proposals. Like,
I like the 215.
yeah,
Can you believe that numbers?
staff has gone through and made a recommendation. I don't know why, if anybody has any insider information.
I do want to let you guys know, I reached out to various references. I think with the holidays, it was a little bit hard getting a hold of people, but I did get another reference today from Fort Creek Enterprises from Adrian School District, and they did recommend them. They were, I think, a couple third lowest bid there, but and then I did send this to staff as well. Most of us don't really know any of these companies. Our contract with BC3 is up. We put this out. I think all of you are pretty aware that we have had some support issues with BC3 since they switched from IT, right? And I think it was Electronic Tech Solutions. Chief does know one of their employees and has had good feedback from that individual. But if you guys have questions, I did speak with the lowest bidder as well. Their bid document was missing a few pieces of information, which I had identified. So I did call them and just ask some questions and talk to them. They had informed me that they are working on trying to get into municipal support for IT. They have no municipal clients now other than they do help on an emergency basis only, the city of Flushing. And they currently have 3 non-municipal support clients. So I have some concerns. 1, they didn't meet the bid requirements, and 2, just with them starting so fresh and kind of getting into this, that they're maybe not established and we'll run into some of the same or more issues than we have now.
Do we know who, just curious, Blissfield Schools uses?
I do not know. Yeah, and I believe Chief has a comment. You guys.
The ETS is working with a lot of municipalities in the downriver area. The employee I know particularly is a retired police supervisor. ETS is intimately familiar with all of the lien regulations, the CJIS stuff that's coming down from the FBI, Department of Justice, State Police. Right now, that document is over 500 pages. This year alone, there were 33 new pages of new requirements that are going into effect by October 1st of next year. most of it is technical, and having a company that's already up to speed on where lean is at and where CGIS is at, for us is absolutely critical. And so having a company that's an upstart, nothing against them, but we need somebody to hit the ground running.
Is that because of the heightened cybersecurity requirements?
Yeah, you know, it's in law enforcement circles, this stuff's a real pain in the neck, but it's worth it because you don't hear about data breaches in law enforcement because the security is so high. And I'm not gonna wood, I mean, it can happen, but there's response plans, and that's some of the new stuff that's coming out. We're actually gonna have to do scenario-based response training once a year with all staff that has access to the CGIS, including anyone from the front office. And it's gonna require working with our IT company because they're the ones that have to detect the problem, isolate the problem, fix the problem, and then we have to figure out how to address the leak. Especially if it's sensitive data. And I personally, my family got a notice last week from a hospital that there was a data breach and they're having to offer 1 year cybersecurity monitoring as for all the affected patients. So a data breach can be very costly to us. So it is critical that we stay up on that, and we are. Our last lean audit, we were 100% for right where we need to be, and that's unique. So I want to keep us there, and so I just can't stress enough how important it is that we get that knows what's going on with the CGIS standards.
And your gentleman is not this Rick, the Rick guy that's.
No,
he's a different gentleman.
Yeah,
Okay. So that would be two different people.
But I forget the guy's name, the representative, but they work together, and I think he's got a law enforcement background too. I'm not really certain.
And I think the individual that submits the bid documents isn't necessarily the individual that'll be working with us. I think they break out their responsibilities, so it's that person's job to submit the proposals and things.
Just looking at their website, they serve all sizes of communities.
You're talking ETC.
Yeah, and they had a recommendation,
BTS.
from Gibraltar was one that responded back, and they switched to them from BC3. And that recommended them, had good things to say.
They're like Bay City, Saginaw, Toledo, down to like Rose City up north, so.
We have a motion there, Gary?
I'm just saying.
Can you tell me what is, just for my own, because I'm a little not sure, what is CGIS?
Oh, sorry. Criminal Justice Information Systems. Any of the computers that deal with accessing Secretary of State driving records or criminal histories. I'm actually doing our RMS system that deals with police reports. Any information that law enforcement gathers through conducting our business is considered CGIS by the FBI standards. And as soon as it becomes CGIS data, it falls under this 500+ page document that they're pushing out. To give you some context, the FBI has an entire division devoted to CGIS and these standards, which is great because they've got an entire division. I've got a 5-6 man police department trying to keep up. So it is a real challenge, and that's where the IT support is so absolutely critical for us to stay on top of our game.
As far as financial and Danielle, the BC3 was the 30,000, so this is obviously a difference of the 5,000. Was that our budget amount? Was it 30,000 for this upcoming?
We're currently paying BC3 28,000.
28.
Just over.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll move toward the proposal from Electronic Tech Solutions, an amount of $25,365.60 annually for information technology support and services.
Support that.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Thank you for your input, Chief. Lisa?
Gary,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to reports. Any questions on the reports?
Yes, actually, I have one comment, if I may, please, for DDA report. And Laura, since you are here, I just wanted to say a big kudos publicly for your one-time ad campaign. I know that you worked tirelessly to get that money in, because that's something that's very important, critical for your position in maintaining your position. Alrighty, but I think it's awesome, the 10,000 over our budgeted revenues. So to be commended on that, well done. And I just wanted to state that. I also like how that report continues, so each month I can review, oh yeah, this was done here, this was done there. So thank you for your work on that. My second question, if I may, is Eric, I know you've been attending the library meetings. I was wondering if you could shed the light on some of the information that's there, unless someone else has comments about the water treatment plant or the DEA report.
Can I go first?
Well, I didn't know if anybody else had anything on the DDA or the water treatment plant.
I'll go first then.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good, thanks.
I did attend the November meeting of the library. There was many items on the agenda, mostly surrounding their normal monthly business. They did approve some things. I don't know if anyone else has a copy of the minutes from the meeting that they did send. Danielle sent them over to me. I'd be glad to forward them. There are some outstanding issues that are going to need to be addressed in the next couple of months. They are still actively proceeding with research of becoming a district library. I'm not completely sure where they're at exactly. I didn't really get a good vibe, a good feel, good read on that from them at the meeting.
Have they been, do you know, have they discussed anything with Blissfield schools?
They did go out to the schools and met with, not sure if they met with the entire school board, but I believe that they did. But beyond that, I don't believe they have progressed any further than having that initial meeting back at the end of September. There was a couple items that were on the agenda that they did go through. They held another private closed session in their meeting last month to discuss, or last couple weeks ago now, to discuss a legal issue, and I believe that was surrounding the issue, the item of the district library becoming and forming a district library. Although they did not express that explicitly, that that's what that was about. The closed session, it was just a trying to find through it here. Going to closed session for attorney-client motion was made, but it did not say it was specifically about the library, the district library. We were supposed to meet at Danielle and Brandon were going to have a discussion with them about the budgeting process and trying to get that more aligned with what we have here in our office here at the village. But due to some illnesses that did not occur that night. And I don't think we have a date specific to redo that unless.
No, I'm waiting to, I actually emailed Bob just earlier tonight, asking if they wanted us at the next meeting or what the rescheduled date was. And that was totally on Brandon and I. We had a close contact, and just out of courtesy to the library, I wanted them to know. Neither of us ended up getting sick, thankfully, but I didn't want to get sick and give it to somebody else. So.
And that was to discuss some.
They had, I had emailed them after budget and offered to come present and talk to them and share budget. So they reached out, Greg reached out to Brandon and I'm gonna say a little over a month ago, asking if we would go to the November meeting to talk about budget and do a training on what fund balance is and how we do our budget. So we've prepared some information for that, and we'll hopefully go in December, January.
Were you at their November 6th meeting, the special meeting?
No, I was not at the November 6th meeting. I did not even realize they had a special meeting until I went to the November 14th.
I wondered, I hadn't seen it posted anywhere.
I didn't see it posted until after the meeting. It was posted here in our lobby. I have yet to find out where they do post their meetings at, because I don't see it on their website as specific when their meetings are. They did change the meeting dates. It was back in September. They went from the first Tuesday or first Thursday to the second Tuesday, if I remember correctly. And that occurred at the November meeting of the first meeting of the second Tuesday new schedule. But they have, as far as I know, they have not updated their website to reflect that.
I did notice that they're planning to go ahead and resume their Saturday hours as well.
Yes, and that was one of the things that they did go through. Sorry for neglecting to talk about that. They have hired another part-time individual, and they are returning to their Saturday hours in December.
For answer now.
If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer what I can. I don't hold a seat on their board. I'm just there as a public member. So.
I have a concern about the closed session there. I'm not sure how they fall under the OMA regarding their sort of this ad hoc weird board, but they do fall under the realm of the village, and just caution the way that works.
I've shared that with them. I sent them the specifics the last time they had a closed session. If council would like me to send an email again, I'd be more than happy to do so.
I appreciate you, Mike, for bringing that up.
I'm wondering if, do they need to meet perhaps, with, the attorney?
They have an attorney.
I suggested that they get with their attorney and learn and get a specific description from them.
Cause they went over that material.
What, yes, he did, in specific to the Open Meetings Act.
Yes.
I cautioned them at that meeting that there are certain things that they have to do when they go into closed session and when they come out of closed session. And also that they need to make specific notes of that in their meeting minutes, in their regular meeting minutes. Obviously, they're gonna keep the separate set for the closed session, but that they need to reflect the reason why, where it falls in the Open Meetings Act and in their regular meeting minutes. And they, for lack of a better term, they neglected to do it again. This is now the third time.
I don't think we have any authority to impose that.
They are a separate authority
Yeah,
from
so
you
we
guys.
we can suggest it, but that's as far as we can go.
We will have no repercussions if they're not followed.
That's correct.
The village will not have any repercussions.
We will not. I spoke specifically with Mr. Lacoste about this.
Okay.
After that meeting, and he said, well, they are their own entity. If they don't follow the Open Meetings Act, they are subject to violations just as any other board would be. And we are not responsible. The village is in no way responsible for their actions. They're an elected board of their own, just as we are.
All right, any other questions from the reports? No, any council discussion?
I got a quick one, just like taking a look back at the IT, for instances like that where we have something to promise, I think a number budgeted for the year would really help us out, like on that sort of stuff. Just throw it up like they're budgeted 28,000 this year to spend on IT, whatever. I think that gives us a better option of how we know if we're way off or way under.
That's kind of what I was alluding to, Mike, was that.
Again, it's a learning process, and I think there's something that benefits us.
You mean like in the background, like in the background brief?
Yeah. I know you can look it up, but it's just easier to have it right there.
Well, it is spread out too through the fund, so I'll try to do better.
Maybe just as like a bullet point with previous council action, financial impact.
Was
Right in there.
$28,000.
Right, budget, or, you know. Amount.
Right.
Yeah.
I know we also, we're still on council discussion, there was someone questioned about the water usage on the athletic fields at the high school. I know we've talked about that before. But now that we're at the end of the year, basically with watering any athletic fields, is there any way we can get a summary of that, Danielle? You have a summary of how many gallons have been used?
Yeah, I was waiting for this read that dropped down. It was like, I think 2,800 gallons this month, but I wanted to include that and I will send that to you guys.
Are you planning on the January committee meeting?
Yes, I have committee meetings. January, I've got I'm calling it the police department committee meeting. We're going to be talking about in-car cameras and we're going to be talking about new hires and academy kind of together. I think that's the main points right now. There may be a couple more things. And then in February, I right now have scheduled committee meeting for village council goals to review and update those.
And the typical February thing has not been.
We did it in February last year, but I mean, that can move a little bit, but it is nice having it before we start going into budget because then staff knows what your focuses are. Because already, I know we just approved budget, but I start working on the capital improvement plan with department heads in January, so.
You have a date, I know it's looking ahead with March or April for the, can't remember.
The joint board meeting will be in March.
March.
I will actually be getting that information out soon with a date. I'm trying to finalize that, but we will be doing another joint board meeting. Similar to what we did last year at that one place, but there'll be an invitation that it is subject to open meetings, but all of our boards are invited. We'll be doing a different training this year. We will have food and some drinks for everyone again, and each board will be given the opportunity to give a little update, but more information will be coming on that in January as well.
And then status of the applications being received for DPW.
That position that it closes this Thursday. I don't know the exact number. I think we're around 8. I've not count. I know I got another one today, but it is open through Thursday. And we've had a lot of inquiries about it.
And if you need someone for from the village to attend that meeting, or from council, excuse me, from council to attend or to be part of that committee.
Yes, I will need a council member. It'll be myself, Brent, and a council member that sit on that panel. And I usually just extend the invitation to all of you, and I try to remind you who's been on them recently so that we can rotate and it's not the same council member. So I will include that in my weekly summary, but I guess just so you guys kind of know, recently, Tim, Bill, and Jerry and Eric have helped the last few. Not that they can't do it again, but I would say Mike, James, and Gwen, you're kind of due or.
If Mike and James, I will be on leave. I'm having some surgery, so I will be available. I can hop on in.
Fine with that.
I mean, if you're not opposed, I'll go ahead. That works for you guys. Okay. And then just let me know what works for you then.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other council discussion? Not, I'll open it up for public comment. Mr. Ken Nichols, good evening.
Good evening, Ken Nichols, 206 Franklin Street. Just to speak towards the street sweeper, my assumption is that the repair for the current street sweeper would be under a different budget item and not part of the 150,000.
I wasn't aware that there was needed repairs.
No, just in the budget. Just a budgeted amount. It says here the budgeted amount for replacement is 150,000, so I'm assuming if there's a repair that's needed for our current street sweeper, that falls under a different line item.
Correct, we have
Gotcha.
repairs and maintenance in the motor vehicle fund.
So the 150,000 is strictly for the purchase of the street sweeper.
Correct.
Okay. As a citizen, I'm all for the streamlining and the efficiency that y'all voted upon for that. I also recognize the need for transparency. But I think part of the transparency is what's also included, what we would probably call downline, with the people that you all have hired in position to properly spend the money as it's been allocated. So if it's already been budgeted or approved to be spent, my suggestion as a citizen is allow your people to have as much freedom as possible within it, which is what you all were discussing and working through tonight. So I appreciated the discussion. It was good to hear all of it.
Thank you. The other public comment?
Yeah, just piggyback off Laura's comments, I do appreciate the generous comments, but a lot of people did help Barb, Todd, Brenda, or Weaver. DPW obviously hung on my mom, did help twist all those bulbs in, so again. That was take a village, so.
Full reps.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go back there, but you know, again, it's, we benefit this stuff by a small community, by people giving back and donating, you know, you've got the Rotary that's contributed a ton to the village. You have people that have private donations, that do swings, things like that. That's the stuff that we can't afford as small of a village, but they're definitely noticed on top of the volunteers and the events, that sort of stuff. So again, it does take a village. I prefer to do it behind the scenes, so next time.
Yeah, I know, I did talk about it.
Yeah.
We're always in need of good volunteers as well. All right, if there's no more public comment, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Stop taking support. Right,
Here, you were very clear on it.
moved and supported. Lisa.
Eric,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jane.
Yes, meeting. Next